Hi, what's up? I'm kind of dressed like a lumberjack, but it's like really cold. So you're just gonna have to deal with that. Alright, let's chat about lease horses. Because someone DM'd me on Instagram and they were like, hello, can you explain these things to me? And I was like, yes, I will. I can explain those things to you. And then I did, and wait, why am I doing that? I'm cold. And then I was like, wait, I can explain these things to everybody. So that was the most energetic intro I've ever held in my entire life, guys. I'm so sorry. So anyway, this video is about lease horses and everything you need to know. Wow, what a concept. So in my day, I have leased 4 horses. 2 of them have been featured on my channel, very promptly. They're up in front and center, which are Bonham and Melody. I have leased 2 other horses, one of them as a child and the other one very, very briefly in the spring, but I never got around to filming a Meet My Lease Horse, anything like that before things kind of fell off there. So I have leased a total of 4 horses in my day. So there are many different types of leasing, which is why with owning a horse it's fairly straightforward. Like, you own the horse, you pay board, you pay for vet, you pay for this, you pay for this, you pay for this, but it's your horse, you get to do all these things. With leasing, it's a little bit more complicated. Take that off now because I look weird. So with leasing, it's a little bit more of a case-by-case basis, because I've met my lease, so there are many different types of leasing, but the main types are 1, an instructor's lease. So this is when your instructor has a horse, they're a lesson horse, that you also lease. So you go in and you take a lesson with this coach on Saturdays, and then you also come out and ride their horse without them present on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you ride Saturdays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, only one of them your instructor is present, the other 2, they're your own, they're lease rides. So this is typically arranged obviously between the trainer and the student. You would most likely be riding this horse in lessons before any of this was worked out, but a lot of instructors do offer up leases on their horses because 1, it's a source of income for them, 2, it's giving the horse exercise, and 3, it's giving you more experience. And also, with instructor leases, they feel safe because it's not like they're shipping you off to go sit on some horse they don't know at all. If it's their horse, they've obviously ridden it quite a lot. They know its ins and outs, they know its details, they know how to maneuver around it, they know that you're safe with it because they've seen you in lessons. This is a set fee per month, so I've seen lease fees anywhere from $60 to $300 a month. It depends on how much you're riding, how in high demand the horse is, because this is the most popular lesson horse. Arranging lease rides is going to be tough, and you're going to be paying a pretty penny to try and find time. The amount of times you're riding, how popular the horse is, your instructor's fees, because what another instructor prices as $15, the other one could cost us $30. It really depends on the instructor. There are so many variables, but this is typically a set fee paid per month. Or I've also seen this, if instructors need working students, a lot of times I have seen their working student pay be a lease. Instead of giving the person board or actual physical money, they give them a lease. So that one was what Bonham was, and then I did a work for lease program. So I was my trainer's working student, and then I would do lease rides. Our arrangement was every 4 hours you worked was a lease ride. So for 2 lease rides you need to work 8 hours, for 3 you need to work 12. Yeah, for 3 you need to work 12, and so on and so forth. You just added 4 hours to each one. Second type of lease. Second type of lease. I'm so sorry. The second type of lease is where a boarded horse is leased out. So this again is a very case-by-case basis. Wow, what a concept. So in this case, this is a horse that lives at the farm you are at that is not owned by an instructor but is owned by a separate boarder. So this horse, a lot of times these are found for a plenitude of reasons. The owner is going to be out of town or not able to come into the barn. Those are typically done as work for leases because then not only are you riding the horse, you should also be responsible for cleaning the stall, making sure their tack is okay, filling supplements, feeding, doing all the things that the owner would typically do. Monetary, which is again totally fine. A lot of times boarders, just in addition to their job, if they only come out to ride twice a week, there are 5 other days in the week that they could be having somebody ride their horse and pay them money for it. So that's a good offer. So a lot of times people will offer out leases for monetary reasons, just because like if you're gonna pay me $20 a week to ride if you're gonna pay me like $60 a week to ride my horse 3 times, like go for it, man. And are very often priced in a varying range of prices, and they can be anywhere from like no money a month because you're doing a work for lease program to like $400 a month because you're riding that often and you're doing those things, and that's how high the owner is priced in. So that is what Melody is on. The third type of lease is an off-site lease. So this is something that you'll very often see in sale ads, where it will say like sale, like for sale, or off-site lease. So what an off-site lease is that you pretty much buy the horse, but not really. This is like you pay, it's like, okay, so you don't pay, like let's say the horse is listed for like $5,000. You don't pay the $5,000 up front and then take the horse to your barn. You would pay a small fee per month. You could probably be paying like $300 a month to keep the horse at your barn. So like you could be paying $300 a month to lease the horse, but then you would also be responsible for literally everything else. In the other boards talked about, the owner of the horse is still most of the time responsible for like paying board, paying vet bills, paying dentist bill, like all of the things they're responsible for paying it. With a off-site lease, you are responsible. So not only are you paying like $300, I'm gonna do a little math equation over here. So you're paying like, so this is a hypothetical situation. You're paying $300 a month to board the horse, to lease the horse. You're paying $500 a month to board the horse. You're paying $400 every 3 months for vet checkups. So it's just like you are owning the horse, but you're just paying an extra fee per month to lease it. I have seen these done in some cases where the lease to buy, so they'll give you the horse and they'll say like, okay, you're gonna pay me, like you know how sometimes like you buy an iPhone and it'll say like only $25 a month? It's like that. So like you're gonna pay us $300 a month, and then by the time you've paid the $5,000, then he's yours. Or that kind of idea where it's like, okay, you're slowly building up to buy the horse, but yes. So again, that's a really case-by-case basis, because the $300, I just made that up. So like it could be $400, it could be $500, it could be $100, it could be $50. It depends on the horse, it depends on the owner, it depends on where you are in geographically, it depends on so many things, guys. Okay, then, what do we talk about next? Free leases. So these are very similar to off-site leases, but in this case, you aren't paying the extra lease fee per month. So this is very common in problem horses or horses that need training, because the owner pretty much has acknowledged that like, I'm not going to be able to sell this horse for the price I want to. And also a lot of times it happens if they're emotionally connected, like they know it's probably time to sell the horse, but they don't really want to sell the horse, they'll give it out on a free lease. So this is a horse can go out on, and you don't have to pay any upfront fee, you don't have to pay any monthly fee. You can keep them wherever you're boarding, and you still have to pay for everything else, like board, vet bills, fees, stuff like that, but you don't have to pay separately in order to take care of the horse. Pay extra to lease the horse, it's in your possession for no extra lease fee. Okay, so those are the types of leasing. Pros and cons. So all of the pros and cons kind of go hand in hand. So a lot of the pros are that it's a lot like owning a horse, but you don't have to pay the money. It's nice the way that you can kind of get what it's like to own a horse, because definitely like just taking lessons is very different than leasing a horse. So once you start leasing the horse, this is something where you can kind of start to get the ball rolling in the sense of, is this something I could really do? Because if you lease a horse and you're like, wow, this sucks, I never want to do this again, you didn't accidentally buy a horse and then be like, ooh, I didn't want to do that. You're not gonna be like, ooh, I didn't want to do that, just kidding. You can lease a horse and you can be like, oh, I don't think this is for me, and then give the horse back without having to sign a bunch of things or sell it, or you just say, okay, I don't want this anymore. Oh, that's a pro. Another pro is that it definitely gives you time to grow, because definitely like your improvement will go, if you're taking weekly lessons right now, like lessons once a week, and then you're going to be riding once a week to like 4 times a week, your riding is going to be like whoosh, like you're going to improve so much, because if your instructor isn't watching you, you're still riding and you're still monitoring yourself a little bit, hopefully, and you're doing all the things that you're supposed to be doing, And it's gonna nail a little bit more of those things kind of like into your brain, like, hey, remember these things. Obviously, it's really cool. Like, a lot of the horses that I have leased have made super big impacts on my riding career. And finally, I mean, this kind of goes hand in hand, I guess. Sometimes, especially with those free lease programs, there are horses that you wouldn't necessarily want to buy. Even if like you knew you probably never wanted to buy an off-the-track standard bred, but then somebody offered you one as a free lease. That's like, you don't have to pay up front, but it gives you the experience with one. And then if you were totally wrong, you're like, oh shoot, these guys are super cool, I do want to own these. Then it opens your eyes in that way. Or if you lease one and you're like, oh yeah, no, I was right, I'm glad I have this experience, but I can move on to other breeds now. That's another thing that's like, wow, big brain moment, how wonderful. Okay, now we're gonna move to the cons. Yay. So, at least in my head, leasing has always been a little bit counterintuitive, just because a lot of people do it like when there's, so a lot of parents' arguments when someone asks for a horse, they're like, okay, why don't you lease one for a while? However, at least in my head, it doesn't make sense because like, okay, you're trying to save up for a horse. So let's say like your parents said, okay, once you have like $4,000 in the bank, you can start looking for a horse. So you're trying to get to $4,000 in the bank. So you're babysitting, you're walking dogs, you're doing all these things, so you're putting money into your bank. But then also, every month, you're taking out like $200 to go and lease this horse. So eventually, it's like all of your work is, you're just kind of staying stagnant because you're probably putting in about that much money each month, and they're just taking it right back out. And it's like, that's not good. One thing where that kind of sucks. Just because, at least in my head, it's like, I would rather spend the time working more to get a horse than leasing one, just because I guess like that makes more sense in my head. But I mean, obviously I'm leasing a horse right now and was leasing a horse, a different horse a month ago, and was leasing a different horse like 8 months before that. So like, I'm not really one to talk, but that's something where it's like, it always seemed a little bit counterintuitive to me. Another point of mine is that it does kind of suck because the horse isn't your own, and I know it's like, it's just papers that you sign, but especially with those instructor leases, it's super, super clear because like, you can't come in to ride because somebody else is riding your horse, and you can't come into this because he's running a lesson, you can't come into this because he's doing this, and it's like, suddenly it really does feel like, yeah, this is not my horse at all. Like this, like, it's just like I'm riding someone else's horse. And you are, but I mean, it kind of sucks that like, a lot of people do this with the intention of feeling like they own their own horse, and then that like illusion kind of be just shattered a lot when like you see their owner coming in and you're like, yeah, great, I forgot about that part. So I guess that kind of sucks because it does limit your time a lot. Like, you can't come in on a certain day because they're running lessons, you can't do this because they're doing this. So that's frustrating. And I think those are my main two, where like leasing a horse is not for everybody, definitely, because some people really want the horse to be their own. And then especially if it's a lesson horse, sometimes you lease and then you get attached, and then you kind of have to realize that like, there's no way I'm going to buy this horse because this horse runs lessons, this horse is a crucial part of this barn. I'm not in the position to take him away from that. So that's my video on leasing. I know, wow, fun times. I'm glad you listened to me talk about that for like a long time, like 20 minutes, great. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. It's like down, I think it's down there, but it also might be down there. I don't remember, so hit the button wherever it is. And also, leave a comment if you have any questions, or like if you're leasing a horse and you're like, oh, this thing sucks, or like, oh, this thing's super cool, then add that, because like, I don't know everything about this. I would just say like, I know a little bit. And yeah, I'm not saying I know everything. I've leased 4 horses, some people have leased like 20 horses. So like, obviously, I'm not an expert, I am not a trainer, I am not a professional. Don't listen to things I say like 100%, like consult somebody else about them. Like, don't go to your parents and be like, hey, Maggie Equine told me that leasing sucks, so you have to buy me a horse now. Like, please don't do that. No, don't do that. That is not the correct way to interpret this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because like, we're making it up in the world. We're like at 150, whoa man. Kinda like famous. Ooh, shut up, I hate myself. Alright, I will see you next time. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, that is at Mac Horsemanship, which is MAK Horsemanship. And I'll see you next time. Bye.